everybody, welcome to my studio. My name is Leo. In the today video we're going to do a demo review of the Blackstar HT-20R. The HT-20R is an all-valve amp with two 12AX7 preamp valves and two EL84. It can obtain a wide variety of tones thanks to three main features: two switchable clean voices, one with American characteristics and the other one with a more oriented British tone. Voice 1 gives a bright and tight tone with a solid bass response for an American tone and response. Voice 2, on the other hand, gives a highly responsive chime with a looser resonant bottom end for a British tone that can be pushed into a mid-range overdrive when driven hard. The second main features by which you can obtain a wide variety of tone is based on two overdrive voices. The first voice has a more British Blackstar oriented tone, rich and natural, that gets all the way up to super crunch gain, but that cleans up quite nicely. Voice 2 is inspired by the Venue MKII high gain sounds that has additional aggression in the high end with a tight resonant low end. The third main feature by which you can obtain a wide variety of tone is the so-called ISF tone shaping feature, where ISF stands for Infinite Shape Feature. When it is fully counterclockwise, it has a more American-oriented sound, a more American characteristic with more aggressive middle. On the other hand, when it is fully clockwise, it has a more British-oriented tone, which is more woody and less aggressive. Other features are: this is a 20 watts amp that can be reduced to 2 watts. It has a digital reverb, a USB output by which you can connect the amp to your computer in order to record directly the sound, and a XLR DI output which has a built-in cabinet simulator in order to connect the amp to your interface or to a mixing desk for live recording use, for instances. So now let's describe the amp in details and then we will hear more sounds. From left to right we have the power that turns the amp on and off, the power switch that reduces the output stage to 10% of the power, so basically from 20 watts to 2 watts, then the master volume that controls the overall volume of the amp, then we have the reverb control that controls the level of the digital reverb. Then we enter the EQ section, and the first knob is the ISF knob that controls the tone signature of the amp, where ISF stands for Infinite Shape Feature. The patented ISF control works in conjunction with the bass, middle and treble controls and allows us to choose the exact tonal signature we prefer. Fully counterclockwise as a more American characteristic with a tight bottom end and more aggressive middle, and fully clockwise as a British characteristic, which is more woody and less aggressive. Then we have the overdrive volume and the overdrive gain. They obviously control the level of volume and gain of the overdrive channel, and the overdrive switch with which you select between the overdriven channel and the clean channel. And then we have a very interesting switch that is the overdrive channel voice switch, by which you select between two voices. The first one has a classic overdrive tone with medium power amp damping, while the other one has a more modern voicing that includes a strong middle, emphasize the pre-overdrive boost, more aggressive sound due to reduced power amp damping. Then we have the clean channel controls with the clean tone that basically is a dual control that effectively adjusts the treble and bass for the clean channel at the same time. Fully counterclockwise will be darker and bassy in character. Rotating the control clockwise will progressively brighten their sound and thin the bass. Then we have the clean voice switcher that select between the American voice and the British voice. We will hear the difference clearly in the more sound section of this video. And then we have the last control, that is the volume control of the clean channel. Obviously, setting it at its highest level, you even obtain a crunchy sound. In the back panel from left to right we have the USB audio output. It is a stereo signal fully processed, complete with speaker cabinet emulation and stereo reverb. Then we have the foot switch input with which you can select both the channel of the amp and the voices, both of the overdriven channel and of the clean channel. Then we have the effects loop in and out, and there is also a nice switch that set the FX loop to either plus 4 dB or minus 10 dB, which enable us to use it with either professional equipment, plus 4 dB, or with guitar level effects such as effect pedal, minus 10 dB. Then we have the emulated output section. The output emulates the tonal characteristics of a guitar speaker cabinet and provide a natural valve overdrive tone for connecting the amp to a recording device or a mixing desk. We have the headphone output and a DI output. Then we have the speaker outputs in which we can connect 1x8 ohm speakers or 1x16 or 2x16 speakers. So let's hear some more sounds. First of all, the signal chain. I have my third classic antique S that is going to a Blackstar, that is then going to a third reactive load into a Millennia preamp, that is going to a Lynx Aurora converter straight in the computer, where I have loaded the Torpedo Wallow sound with the following settings. Okay, let's start from the clean channel with everything basically to none, and actually I have selected the voice one, which should recall a Fender-like tone. Now let's compare it to an actual Fender amp. I have here my Supersonic amp, which has a clean channel that is very similar to a Vibrolux. Let's switch to the Supersonic using my Untitled HT-20R amp switcher. This is the Supersonic. Back to the Blackstar. So in my opinion the Blackstar has much more pronounced bass frequencies, so let's try to use the tone knob in order to adjust them. Back to the Fender. Blackstar. So pretty similar, even though they are not quite identical, even because they are quite different. For instance, power valves, because we have 6L6 in the Fender while we have EL84 in the Blackstar, but I have to say that they are pretty similar. Now let's try voice 2. I'm using the switcher, which is provided with the amp, and it is much more gainy. Much more sparkly with more air. much more British-like tone, very different voice to the other one, and very enjoyable. Pretty nice. Now let's go back to voice 1, trying to make it a little darker. Very nice, almost jazzy sound. So the clean channel of this amp is pretty convincing. You can have Fender-like tone, very quite similar, and a Marshall clean channel with more air, more crunchy, more British. Let's try the reverb. Very nice. Pretty nice clean tone and pretty nice reverb. Very gentle. Now let's switch to the overdrive channel. This is the first voice, which should be the more vintagey voice. It reacts pretty well to the volume and to your touch, cleaning up. Now let's try the second voice with the same settings. Voice 1. So pretty different voices here. Both of them are quite enjoyable. The first one is more vintagey and the second one is more modern. The first one has less high-end frequency and more looser bass frequencies, while the second one has more gain, has much more focus on the high frequencies and more tight bass frequencies. First voice. And in my opinion, the first voice cleans up more nicely. So the second voice, more gain, more high gain territories. The first voice, more vintagey, cleans up better. Actually, I prefer a little bit more the first voice. So let's play with the ISF. ISF all the way up. ISF all the way down. Well, here I have to say that I don't like the ISF all the way up. I prefer it in the middle or all the way down, because in my opinion in this way the sound is a little bit more focused, while when it is all the way up it's like the presence of the amp goes away and the sound is less focused. Now high frequencies all the way up. All the way down. So in this case, when it is all the way up, I still like the sound. The high frequencies are obviously more present, but are not annoying, while when it is all the way down is pretty unusable. Mid frequency all the way down. All the way up. In the middle. It is very usable both when it is all the way down and when it is all the way up. It really depends on your taste. Bass frequencies all the way up. In this case, like the treble knob, when it is all the way up, the sound is still enjoyable. When it is all the way down, it's pretty unusable. So, a very convincing amp, in my opinion. Its best feature is the clean channel, because it really goes from British Marshall-like clean channel to American. We have even tested against the real Fender amp. This amp you can really have the best of both worlds. You can have clean Fender-like tones and overdriven Marshall-like tones. So if you think that Eric Johnson is actually using two amps, a real Fender amp for the clean tones and a real Marshall amp for the overdriven tones. With this amp you can actually have two pretty convincing settings, very different each to the other. One for the clean channel with the more American style, and the other one for the overdriven channel with the more British tone. So well done Blackstar, really well done. So we reached the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed, and if you did it, please leave a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel and hit the notification button. It would be a great help. Please let me know your opinion about the amp in the comment below. See you in the next video. Bye bye!